And I have a question for you guys. What power does USG or the USG president have to do that? I mean, what do they say whenever you go up and be like, I want tuition to stay the same for whenever you come in, it stays the same for 4 years. What do they say to that whenever you guys approach them?
I can do it.
Sure. Well, I haven't actually actively approached anyone with this yet, so I honestly don't know.
Well, I think that's just a broader point. That right there points to a larger problem. Is a lot of people don't know the reach of student government. It's baseline. We have a lot of influence on a lot of different things, and the fact of the matter is, it's our fault. We haven't done a good enough job explaining to you that we sit on committees on everything. The library. Very few people know that we have input when it comes to choosing the books that we read. We can do that. If we hear your concerns, there are people that are listening. Our advisor is the Dean of Student Affairs. The president meets regularly now with the president of the university. That's never happened before. That's something I commend Mike on from making that happen. Having an audience with the president of the university and the board of trustees, it's huge. Things can change through student government, and that's why I invite the concerns to come in. We can fix it.
Okay. The next question, Steve.
Hi, I'm Stephen Oldhar. I'm a parliamentarian in USG.
Nice to meet you.
This year, USG has gotten some things done with the school that could only be done through talking to faculty, administration, staff. And a few things have worked out, a few things haven't. But other than keeping tuition the same, what will you hold the administration and faculty accountable for, and how will you do that?
I'm going to let Ian talk because I feel like I've been talking too much.
Well, I think, again, the kinds of relationships that are established through these positions, as Anthony discussed, are very useful. The fact that the president is recognized as sort of a voice of the students and sort of a bridge between what the students think and what the administration thinks. I think that's a very valuable role and one that we can utilize in trying to achieve some of these larger goals that we have. To me personally, one thing that I'd like to see administration take on, and I'd like to first see student support for this. This is just sort of a personal sort of ideal for me to pursue, is a more effective green policy and a more widely encompassing green policy. There's currently actually this initiative called the President's Climate Commitment, which I'm very much in favor of having on Point Park's campus. There are a few hundred universities throughout the country that have signed on to that particular initiative. And they set up a committee, and the president discusses with that committee ways of, establishing environmental initiatives at Point Park. That to me is something that I'd really like to see. And that's something that would have to come from the top. So for those kinds of initiatives, that in addition to the tuition thing, those things that are going to have to come from the top, I think, Anthony and myself will be in very good places and have those established relationships where we can talk to people.
Okay. That's all I have for you. Thanks, guys. Good luck next year.
Thank you.
And I have one more question for you guys. What, if anything, needs fixed within, I would say, the infrastructure of USG? Is there anything that's broken right now in terms of nominations or how you guys interact with each other or anything like that?
How long's this show? I'm just kidding. There are cracks. There are cracks. There's no way around it. There are holes in the system. There has to, but it's the same with any system. Any group is going to tell you that they can add improvements, that they can do things to make things better. Mike and I are best friends. We're close guys. And even though we both have these goals, and we're very similar in almost everything we believe, in almost every respect, we're almost completely different in how we would go about doing it, which is good. For every problem, there's probably 50 different ways to fix it effectively. So as far as that goes, you can ask the presidential candidates who come on next year what changes need to happen in USG, and they're going to say, again, there are cracks, because there's always going to be problems. We just can never stop moving to fix them. That's what's important.
Okay. Ian, do you have anything to add to that?
I would agree. I think just knowing that the problems are there and sort of dealing in a reactionary manner and addressing them is probably the best way of going about it. This is my first year on USG, but I take it from those who are sort of senior to me within the legislative body that these kinds of things always exist, and we always just have to address them accordingly.
Okay. And our next student question.
Hey guys. My name is Heidi Schlegel, and I'm currently the President Pro Tempore of our United Student Government. I just have one question. What qualities do you each possess that make you a good team?
Funny story. I was actually Ian's CF. So we'll start there. I've known Ian since I was in charge of this guy on the 14th floor of Lawrence Hall. I think just this year, I'll explain why I think we work well together.
Sure.
Just this year, having him on USG has been such a huge help, mainly because I feel like Ian sort of gives me the other side, no matter what. He's an incredible pragmatic personality. I sometimes see things one way, and I'm committed to seeing things those one way because it's what I've heard and it's what I believe. Ian very often shows me the other side of the picture, and the reason I'm going to like having him around is he's the guy that can show me what I'm missing. So that's why I think we're an effective team.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this before. Anthony, by the way, also got me involved in USG. So the relationship there is definitely pre-existing. And you know, we've served together on the Student Concerns Committee for this past year. We've worked on initiatives for the Student Civic Engagement Ad Hoc Committee. And you know, of course, within that period, there have been definite times of debate. I mean, we've really gone at it in discussing some of the legislation, but we've also, you know, basically co-sponsored each other's legislation at times. You know, so I think we have a relationship that is where we have a certain degree of constructive criticism of one another, and where we can sort of take a step back and force each other to look at the decisions being made and really evaluate them in an effective way.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to get to your closing statements. Looking back at this year in USG, is there one thing that sticks out in your mind that, you know, the current, I guess, Potosny regime, if you will, in USG did that you guys, you know, think was just wrong, you just don't agree with, and what would you have done differently?
He's going for the kill shot. This is supposed to be the moneymaker right here. You go first. This seems like a good one for you.
Well, you know, I can't say that there is necessarily one particular policy that I wasn't wowed about. That said, I think the use of the veto is at times maybe a bit more used than was necessary. You know, just to be a senator and to sit there and to know that the legislation was proposed from us, from the senators, voted on by the senators, and then vetoed by the president. I think that's one thing, at least to me in particular, that could have been used a little bit less, one change that I would like to see, and it's one thing that Anthony and I have talked about pretty extensively, and one thing that I'm pretty confident will be done so less with an Anthony Kostulis administration.
And Anthony, what do you have other than the veto?
Oh, other than the veto, you know, it's difficult. If you were in the USG office when we were talking about, you know, some of these huge issues like advising, like, you know, the Sunday cafe service, some of the arguments that have happened in that argument or in that office over stuff, you would know full-heartedly that there are major things that I disagree with. It's not ever fundamental stuff. I mean, obviously, Mike and I both agree that the Sunday cafe needs to be open. On Sunday, the cafe has to be open. But how we go about doing it may be completely different. So I would never badmouth the president. I'm going to say, from the bottom of my heart, Mike Potosny fundamentally changed the way the United Student Government President reacts and interacts with students on this campus. That's his legacy. If I can have one thing for my legacy to be, it's to take the ideas that were so popular, that worked so well, that are obviously needed, and extend them and keep them going and improve them. That's my goal. So I won't speak ill for sure, but I will say that, of course, there's stuff that needs to be changed.
Yes. Okay. Having said what I said, I will like to back that up just by saying, yeah, agreed. The initiatives that have been put forth this past year have been extraordinary, unprecedented, and I've been really proud to have Mike as the president. You know, I think he and the executive cabinet have done an extraordinary job in what they've done. So, didn't mean to disrespect anybody there.